This title is narrated with virtual voice, computer-generated narration for audiobooks. How to Write a Poem, A Beginner's Guide, by Sean O'Neill. Introduction. You might want to write a poem for a special occasion, like someone's birthday, or to record a particular event, or even just because you feel an emotion strongly. For whatever the reason, many of us feel the need, and sometimes it is a need, to occasionally write some poetry. The crucial question is, how do you write a poem? This question has a long pedigree, and it has been answered throughout history by a number of authors. Aristotle's Treatise on Poetry, Horace's Art of Poetry, and Sir Philip Sidney's The Defense of Poesy are all works that seek to answer this question. This is a practical book. By the time you finish reading it, you will have all the tools you need to write convincing, compelling, and beautiful poetry. Whether someone has asked you to come up with a poem for a special occasion, or you have suddenly been struck by an intense emotion and are looking for a way to articulate it, or you want to express love to your sweetheart on Valentine's Day, this book provides all the necessary techniques to enable your poem to be a success. Here are some of the other questions this book answers. Can anyone write a poem, or is it an ability that the chosen few are born with? Where do you start? How do you come up with an idea for a poem? Should you use a formal style like a sonnet, which has a strict set of rules that should be adhered to, or opt for free verse, where it seems as if anything goes? And once you've written a poem, how can you tell if it's any good? With copious examples from some of the greats of poetry, this book is packed full of useful advice to get you started on the road to writing poetry. NB. Any unattributed poems in this book are the work of the author. Go to Table of Contents. Chapter 1. What is a poem? Good question, and it's not one to which there is a definitive answer. Nevertheless, broadly speaking, a poem, like a song, is almost always immediately recognized on paper. This is because it is probably written in stanzas or paragraphs. It may rhyme, or it may not. It will often use metaphors and similes, comparing things that are not usually compared with each other. Sometimes a poem will have a set meter, a pattern of stresses and beats that the words follow. However, it is not too difficult to come up with poems that go against this description, but can still be called poems. Traditionally, poetry was meant to be spoken aloud. This tradition goes back probably for almost as long as humans have been able to speak. In the Middle Ages, bards and troubadours used to tour the countryside and sing or recite ballads and poems to rich people for money. Nowadays, poets still give readings of their own poetry to groups here and there throughout the country. So it seems there has always been a history of poetry being spoken aloud. Poetry is, therefore, fundamentally about communication. That's not to say that you can't sit down privately and write poems just for your own amusement or in order to express some deeply felt emotion, but always, perhaps, with the faint hope that someone somewhere will stumble upon your work and hail it as a masterpiece. The nature of poetry is that it should be shared with others, and so, to that extent, it is always useful to have in mind an imaginary audience, someone, or a group of people, to whom we are writing or that we hope will read our poem once we have finished writing it. Even if we never end up showing our poem to someone else, it's still a good discipline to write the best we can for that ethereal but sympathetic entity, the imaginary audience. It focuses what we are writing, eradicates the compulsion to babble or gush with excess emotion, and more often than not, makes the finished product more pleasing and accomplished than it would otherwise have been. Okay, enough about what a poem is. How do I write one? Choosing a subject. How do you pick a subject for your poem? Some subjects seem to pick us. Sometimes we are so struck by the sadness or the delightfulness of a scene or an event.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.